Hello again, this is DBJ doing deep cuts into the DMG. I should have started this as one of the first videos, although I tend to post my videos out of order. But I got to give a lot of respect to and a huge shout out to Tabletop Gaming with Juice, the Nerdarchy Clan, and Jarl DM, Jarl DM, as well as many others for doing excellent work in breaking apart, deciphering, posting blogs, and the well thought out and exceptionally insightful excuse me, comments, responses, and threads about the new Dungeon Master's Guide. Before I get into the specifics of this, and I'm sure you're going to notice that it's going to say DMG Deep Cuts Dawn. And before I get into that, I do want to say that those people who are having, like, I don't know, they're having their own edition wars in their own head about the Dungeon Master's Guide and why people are making a big deal about 5th edition and this weird, I don't know, weird focus of, like, if you think 5th edition reminds you of 1st and 2nd edition, why don't you just play 1st and 2nd edition? But I will say this, for those that grew up in the, I guess, the middle ground editions, 3.x and Pathfinder and some 4th edition, some of us old heads and those of us and those younger guys that have been playing Redbox 1st, 2nd edition, what we loved about the game and about those editions and what 5th edition has brought back is the idea that the game is a framework of rules, the rest is up to you. And although I know that rules bring about a kind of a safety net, and I dare say even a shield against so-called killer DMs or dangerous situations, things like that, most of the indie games, I'm going to start naming a few, I know I'm going to miss many, but like Numenera, Savage Worlds, Dungeon World, I believe it's called, Fate, the various Fate systems, and I know I'm missing many more, are very collaborative and organically centered during gameplay. I mean collaborative as in, okay guys, let's sit down and play a game. Let's all decide as Game Master and players what we're going to do. And then later, as the game progresses, the ability to modify and change on the fly things happening in the game for the enjoyment of all without having to, you know, pick up a book and find out what's going on. All right, ranted a little bit, but we're going to get into one thing. My particular take on the book is that I'm picking out specifics, whether it's a paragraph, one line, but in this case I'm picking out exactly one word, and that is the word dawn. All right. Now, we'll read the line verbatim. There's plenty of magic items in here. This is part of the magic item listing. The last line, I'm picking one item, is the Dagger of Venom. And there's one word in it that really sparked me. And I'm giving a lot of credit to the writers and the editors of this game for using this. And here's the line. The dagger can't be used this way again until the next dawn. And this is the Dagger of Venom, meaning that you cover it with poison. It has some rules and regulations on it, a little small paragraph, and at the end it says, the dagger can't be used this way until the next dawn. Now, what I love about that, and those not even classic D&D players, there's stat blocks for many magic items, right? So, for example, we're used to using the 1/day routine, meaning something that can only be used once a day. And even in 1st and 2nd edition, if you look under the stat blocks for creatures' abilities, hey, it has Fireball 3 times a day, it has Wish once a year, or something of that nature, and it's written as a stat block version, meaning like number, a slash, and then a time frame. once a day, 3 times a week, etc., etc., once an hour, what have you. They did not use that in this book. Here's why I like that word dawn. The word and the phraseology of not being used until the next dawn is extremely, as much as we would think that, oh, well, that's just the same thing as the next day. It isn't. Because each person's perception of what dawn is changes, and it becomes much more of the organic Vancian magic that you think about in fairy tales and literature and in movies. That classic where something happens at midnight, something happens at the stroke of 12, something happens when the sun sets, or noon, or the equinox, or the full moon, or every fortnight on the first harvest, during an eclipse. All these special events, whether they happen once a day, whether they happen on a cloudless sky, whether they have conditions, and the fact that dawn makes you think that, well, what if you use the magic item in the evening? Could you then be able to use it when day breaks, the minute dawn hits, and it's only an hour away? Well, it kind of makes you feel that way. Well, you're sure. But there's something else about the word dawn as well, and that each of us has a different perception of that. For example, if you've ever seen the sunrise, the sky lightens up before the sun rises. So there's this middle ground where the light is refracting off of the sky, and the sun has not yet risen above the horizon, but the environment starts to lighten up, and there's this weird middle ground where, is it dawn? Is it not yet? And you want to say, well, is this magic item like recharging? And then all of a sudden the sun breaks across the horizon, and then you can describe how the magic item is recharging its abilities. I love their phraseology. They could have very easily shaved word count and space by just going once a day, but they didn't do that. They used the word dawn. And for me, especially since 5th edition has kind of strayed away from the heavy magic item idea, especially from 4th edition, where there's this idea that, every so many levels you're expected to get magic items of a certain power. 5th edition has really stayed away from that. And what I like about that, and yes, here I go with the GM fudging thing again, I like the idea of giving magic items a time frame or a condition that is more organic than simple math or time frames. Meaning, like, instead of saying something is used once an hour, you could use a different phraseology in saying that it can be used after someone has taken 10,000 paces, or the item will recharge after it is blessed by the 5 elders. It's the idea of Excalibur being returned back to the Lady in the Lake. The item works in the shadow of the mountain of Grimbar, or this item only works within 200 paces of the magical sigil in the town square. The item, then there's words that are used in literature that evoke mysticism and power, such as the words of kisses and tears, shadows and blood, the heart. When this item is covered in the blood of its enemies, when this item is placed in the heart of something, when this item is a single tear from something or some event or whatever. Those are things that evoke a lot of power. And what a game master could do is, you could grant your players magic items and give them these, which would be rather harsh limitations. The holy warrior has a sword, and it regains its power after it is blessed by the five elders. Well, if they're thousands of miles away or they're on another plane of existence, how easy would that be? Also, going back to the word dawn, if we go back to the word dawn, it also evokes other things. If players are on another plane of existence, and that plane, say the astral plane, does the astral plane have a dawn? Maybe they're in a land where the sun does not shine, whether it's a mystical reason, meaning that it is literally in a plane, you're in the plane of shadow, or they're completely enveloped in shadow. Does the item have to be exposed to the dawn, or is it an internal clock? The minute the sun rises, it is recharged. Because the players could delve down, let's say, into the deep chasms of the Dark Elves or something, and the item will not recharge until it's exposed to the dawn. As a game master, I would decide that on the fly, maybe even discuss that with the players, add that as a hindrance, and then over time, the players, as they quote-unquote level up, they could actually have some of those limitations removed. So, for example, you have a holy knight or something, and they gain their classic +1 sword, and maybe they have to find the five elders that are scattered around the nation, and as they quest to find each elder, that elder maybe unlocks or gifts or blesses that weapon, so now it becomes +2, they find the next one, it becomes +3, by the time they get to like 17th level, now it's a +5 sword with its various, gifts and bonuses and things of that nature. But before they're able to gain to that +5, maybe the sword can only work under specific conditions or something of that nature. Anyway, I love that word. I love the phraseology, dawn. It has not gone unnoticed, you writers out there. I am going to do a little plug for one of the members of the YouTube community and our RPG community, Andrew Wood and Raw Immersive Games. He used a phraseology in his gamey design within the Ring of Fire. The flame tender and embers and catalysts, and as much as I am not a fan of altering words like NPC and Game Master, even using the storyteller phraseology, I really love that, and so this has not gone unnoticed, guys from Wizards of the Coast, that items recharge at dawn. They could have very easily gone with the stat blocks for magic items, but they didn't. They chose to spell out those things for those various items, and I'm thankful for it. It's just something to spark some ideas, maybe some ways to add quote-unquote limitations to some items so that you can have them more common in your game, gift them to your players, and then those players can then, through adventure and finding the tears of a lost soul, or placing the battle axe into the heart of a troll or something like that, to unlock those limitations so that that item goes from being a little more uncommon to rare, and then actually becomes the item that is presented in a book. Anyway, just some ideas, just some thoughts. Thanks, guys. As always, be creative, don't be destructive, and thank you very much for the rest of the YouTube community and the RPG community for sparking some great ideas and supporting me and all that I do. So you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.